Hi, this is Jill with Flourishing Finishes. I hope you're doing well, and I'm really excited to show you a new card today. So this card comes with a little bit of a backstory. I was looking for a stamp set that I could duplicate to turn into buttermints. I don't know what else they might be called, but I just remember when I was younger, they used to be in bowls everywhere and they were like all different kinds of pastel colors, and that's what I was thinking of. So I'm doing this small group, and in the small group, we're learning about Hosea and just God's love through that marriage. And in that, every week, the person that wrote the book has something sweet to share with the group of people. The first week is buttermints. There's a recipe for us to make buttermints, and then we get to eat buttermints. And I thought, how fun. I could give extra love to everybody in my small group by making a card that had buttermints. So I went to the catalog and I started looking through it to figure out where I can make buttermints. So I did end up coming across the stamp set that I use, which is on page, I don't know, because I can't, even with a sticky note, I can't open it. Page 20, Nothing Better Than. Now, I don't know if you've seen this before. A lot of my friends and team members are using it and absolutely loving it. They're making super cute cards with chocolate and cookies and coffees, and I just thought, maybe I can make some buttermints. So that is going to be the stamp set that we're using today. In addition to that, there are framelits in the back of the catalog on page 172. And then there will be another set of framelits that we're using that I'll talk about as we go. So let's take a closer look. So I also wanted to think of a saying that could go with my buttermints, the small group, the heart behind everything I'm doing. So as you can see, we have a lot of options here. A lot of them coffee, cookie, cocktails. You know, again, here I am with buttermints. So I'm kind of like, what are we going to do? So I could have said buttermints make everything better and just use this. But nonetheless, I chose today's plan is to consume buttermints because adulting is hard, because I feel like adulting is hard, and that's why we need God's word and all of that to help us get through all the hard days. And we also have buttermints. So anyway, I thought this would be fun to show you guys, not only about my buttermint story, but because we are going to use a technique here. I was doing the Creative 8 retreat not long ago, and they were using a technique where we take the, let's see what it's called, blending brush, and we take a stencil or something. I chose to use Fancy Frames, so it's a framelit set that comes with 2 framelits, and I chose to use this as my, what is it called? I don't know. My mind just went blank. So my little template thing, stencil. There we go. It came back. So I thought it would be fun for us to just kind of do it together and things like that. So if you guys want to make the card with me, it is pretty easy. We are going to need soft suede base, 8.5 by 5.5. And we are going to score it in half. I do have a white piece that's 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick it inside to get it out of the way. I'm sure some people think it would be really cute to put some buttermints in here, and I think that you're probably right. I'm going to go ahead and take my black sheet of paper that is 3.5 by 5, and I'm going to use dimensionals to go ahead and pop it up. Also, while we're doing that, we are going to need a piece of white that's 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 for our technique. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with this black that is 3.5 by 5. I just put some dimensionals on because I wanted to definitely give it some pizzazz. You know, I never really know what to do with the trash when I do these videos. Sometimes I think I should just throw them on the floor, but then I got a vacuum, so I don't. Okay. So we can go ahead and just put this into the middle the best we can. It's not entirely dimensional like I would like on all ends, but it was to fit the template. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. So now we have our white piece that was 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then we have our frame that we chose to use. All right, I just tried to center it. I have little sticky notes that I put in a couple places. The sticky notes have to be kind of a little small, but it doesn't hold a ton, so you still have to be careful. We're using So Saffron ink and then our brush. So then I still hold it, and then you go to town. I don't know if you guys have used this before or not, but as you just push and swirl, the color kind of goes light to dark in an array of places. Still trying to hold it really good. I learned from experience when I made this for everybody in the small group that if it moves, it messes everything up. And then I just did it a little bit lighter. Now, as you are probably thinking, what do you do with these huge white stains? I then just went back and tried to cover them. It could be slightly off because nothing's perfect about our coloring. You just want it to blend. And then we lift it up. How cool is that? So we have that, and then we have the lovely mess it makes. So I should have probably kept wipies by me, but for now I'm just going to set it to the side and I will handle it later. We probably should have done this last because now I'm going to ask us to go back to crafting with a really messy mat. But this should relatively be dry. If we want to go ahead, I would put it on a dry portion of your mat so it doesn't mess up the front. And you can go ahead and put it on the card. Okay, then that lets us have to finish building. So I just had a scrap white sheet of paper and black, and then again the two sayings that say because adulting is hard, which I'm going to remount because sometimes they move, and then today's plan, consume. So I'm just going to stamp each of these on my scratch sheet of paper. Okay. And I'm just going to set them aside for a minute. The next thing that I did is I did use the Love You More Than dies. And I took out the buttermints, chocolates, truffles, whatever you want to call them. And I did go ahead and run them through. I did this first because I found it to be easier. However, you can do it whichever way. I then got out each stamp for the image. Soft sea foam is the color that we're using. So then I went ahead, inked it up full on, My ink pad needs to be re-inked. So, and then I lined up and put it on there. So then I took the inside. Again, my ink is not as juicy as some may be, so I'm using a lot. It usually wouldn't take that, but it's such a light color. I stamped off, and then I lined it up, and then there we go. So now I have my buttermints. So after that, I just went ahead and I laid it down. I did not adhere it yet. I took some scissors and I fussy cut the sayings. This is something that one of my friends, Tanya, does a lot with sayings, and I just never really think about it. But on this card I did, and I thought this would be fun because then I can position them wherever I want them to go, and they weren't as formal as when together. Sometimes people use this to make more layers. Instead of it being, longer, they might cut every word apart, things like that. Super fun thing to do with sayings. So I try to cut straight, but if you know me, not much of anything about me is very straight. I'm always crooked lines, crooked everything. So I do the best I can and just realize it comes with the personality. So now I kind of have everything. So I just kind of decide where I want to lay stuff. I take my buttermints. I used my mini dimensionals. You can use whichever you would like. Get it all popped up so it doesn't sink in the middle. And I went ahead and I laid this down. I don't like where I laid it. Okay. Take two. Okay, that's better. I did need some glue. And then I just pretty much, put a little bit a long way, or drop the whole bottle. I'll just share. I try to position my first one between the two little swoops, if that makes sense. I don't think swoops are a real word, but those little loop-de-loops. And then on the bottom, I tried to line them up with the top ones a little bit. And then this can just lay wherever. So then there we have it. And we're done. So anyway, I hope you guys love the buttermint idea and the card, and I would love to hear your feedback. Until next time, I hope you flourish.